Hello and welcome to the Just Got Paid podcast. I'm your host, Eric Hellon. And believe it or not, we're already coming into the month of April. And April is a very special time when it comes to finances and money management because it's actually considered Financial Literacy Month. And so this is a great time if you're having trouble with your finances, if you're just tired of living paycheck to paycheck, to start to get some things in order so you can start to implement some different financial strategies and change your financial future. So, yes, we are in April. It's Financial Literacy Month. And so, on this episode, we're really going to talk about what is financial literacy, some background, what does it involve, and how do you determine if you're truly financially literate. So, let's dive into it. So, the first thing I want to do is actually dive into what is financial literacy. You may have heard this term, you may see it on social media a lot. Maybe it's a hashtag, whatever the case may be, but it might cover a gamut of different topics. And so really I want to boil it down to the items, the topics that really matter to you and your personal financial future. So the definition of financial literacy is the ability to use financial skills when it comes to budgeting, saving, investing, and managing debt. That is the literal definition of financial literacy. So it does cover a pretty broad topic. It covers all different aspects of personal finances, but we're going to dive into a few of these on this episode so you can learn some steps, some tools that you can use in order to get your money right. If you feel like money is really controlling your decisions or controlling your time, that means that you're lacking financial literacy and lacking the application of financial literacy or financial knowledge. And so, this episode, my hope is that you'll learn these tools and you'll start to implement them and actually see change in your finances. There are a couple misconceptions when it comes to financial literacy that I really want to cover. The first one is that people think the more money they make, the better they're going to be with their finances. And it's just not true. I think, Biggie Smalls had a song, More Money, More Problems. And it's true. We sit down with a lot of clients who are looking at their budget and they're making good money, but they're still living paycheck to paycheck. They're struggling to pay their bills and they don't have a lot of flexibility because they haven't saved and they haven't invested. And so just because you make more money doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be better with it. So remember, if you can manage $100, you'll be pretty good at managing $1,000. And if you can manage 1,000, you'll be pretty good at managing 100,000 when the time comes. So it's all about setting the tone early, setting some financial habits that will help you manage the money that you have, no matter the size. So that way, as your income grows, your bills don't grow with it, so that you're able to put some money away and truly invest for your retirement or college savings or even starting a business. The second financial misconception is that you have to be a financial expert or a financial guru to understand financial literacy. And it's just not the case. When it comes to personal finance, it really is about how much money do I make? What do I do with that money? Am I saving it? Am I investing it? And how much am I spending? And then do I have a budget to tell my money where to go? So that way I'm not taking on heavy debts or other expenses. When you have those three foundational things in place, then you'll be better off as your income grows to be able to manage that income. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist, doesn't take a financial expert or a financial guru. You don't even need special licensing to manage your personal finances. It really is common sense and some basic financial skills and knowledge that you'll gain over time and hopefully in this episode. So why is financial literacy so important, and especially in Black and Brown communities? The biggest thing is that here in America, we do have a wealth gap. And that wealth gap goes back generations. When we look at the ability to pass down, to have heirs, and have something to give to your children or your grandchildren, a lot of people in Black and Brown communities don't have that luxury or that privilege, if you would. And I say a lot of people because there are some, but you have to recognize that if you're not given, say, a house or even the financial knowledge, then you're going to be starting over with each generation. And so over time, that's developed a wealth gap that is widening here in America. And so it's important that BIPOC communities, these Black and Brown communities, understand financial literacy, understand how to manage their finances, how to invest it properly, and how to leave an inheritance for their children's children, which the Bible says. And so understanding financial literacy and these basic core concepts will not only help you, but it'll help your future generations and help you to build generational wealth. Another reason why financial literacy is so important in Black and Brown communities is because when there are hard times in America, in our economy, Black and Brown communities are disproportionately affected by them, whether it be job loss, income loss, or even issues like predatory lending, which we saw in around 2008, 2009. These types of financial products were used to prey on the financially illiterate. And typically those were from Black and Brown communities. So it's important that these communities get to understand the financial concepts, how to look for predatory lending and not fall victim to these products that are out there that they're trying to sell you because you don't necessarily understand investing or understand saving money. It might sound good, but at the end, it's really going to hurt you. And so being smart about these things will help you and protect you from these types of predators or this predatory lending. And the third reason why financial literacy is so important in Black and Brown communities is because financial literacy provides options. It provides freedom of choice. When you're financially set, when you're financially free, when you already have your retirement planned, you can retire when you want on your terms. You can own real estate. You can own your own home. You can use the equity to do as you please, whether you want to start a business or send your kids to college. You have choices and you have options. And that's the best part of financial literacy. And this is key because you're going to need to understand this and have this as a motivation as you're getting things together financially. So as you're budgeting, as you're weighing needs versus wants, you're going to be making some sacrifices. And so you need to understand why. Why am I making these sacrifices? Why am I budgeting my money when the rest of the world seems to be just living it up? As they say, YOLO, right? So why am I doing these things? Why am I sacrificing to own a home? Why am I sacrificing to retire early or send my kids to college? You really have to understand your why and your purpose because that's the motivation that you're going to need in order to get your financial household in order. So how do you know when you're financially literate? How do you know that you know how to manage your money? Well, the first thing comes with budgeting. If you're establishing a monthly budget on a regular basis and sticking to it, then you're being mature about your money. You're telling your money where to go instead of your money telling you where to go. And so setting a monthly budget is the keystone, the foundation to really being financially literate. You have to be able to manage the income that you're receiving. The truth of the matter is your paycheck is actually your greatest asset to building wealth. And so what you do with the money that you receive is going to determine the choices that you're able to make in life and even your children. So we definitely want to establish a budget each and every month. We want to stick to that budget and we want to analyze it on a quarterly basis. Are there things that you can do to improve it? Are there new expenses that come up? Life happens. And so you got to be able to look at that budget and make adjustments as you go. The second way to know if you're financially literate is to actually look at your savings. Do you have an emergency fund? If something were to happen, if your car, blew a tire, would you have the money to be able to pay for that tire without putting on a credit card? So do you have some type of savings? I always follow the Dave Ramsey concept of having at least $1,000 saved. That's your baby step number one. You want to have that set aside for anything that may come up. Like I said, if the car loses a tire or whatever the case may be, you got to have some money set aside so you're not putting that on credit. Once you get there, then you need to start thinking about an emergency fund. An emergency fund could be 3 to 6 months worth of savings. And this is just in case you were to lose your job or if you have your own business and things slow down, do you have enough to get through the rough times? And so 3 to 6 months of expenses should be all that you need. Now, I know that there's been a lot going on in our economy. There's been, people who have emergency funds and they've gone through them. I've personally had a lot of challenges, even in the real estate market, and getting through those times and had to make choices and decisions to sell assets or whatever the case may be. So just because you have 6 months doesn't mean you're in the clear. Keep that in mind. 3 to 6 months is kind of the baseline, but the more you save, the more you'll be prepared for economic downturns and be able to weather the storm to get through it. The next way to know if you're financially literate is to actually know what your credit looks like. So, have you pulled your credit? Do you know what's showing up on your credit reports? And do you know your credit scores? So, you definitely want to know what your credit is saying because that's going to determine how you finance assets in the future. So, pull your credit, know what it says. People often ask me, oh, well, where should I go to pull my credit because I'm using Credit Karma, whatever the case may be. I say go to myfico.com. There are some other great sources, but you got to go direct to FICO. Myfico.com is going to give you the 3 credit scores, 3 credit reports. You're going to know exactly what's showing up. Some of the others may show you an inflated credit score because they're trying to sell you financial products. So keep that in mind. So if you use MyFICO, you're going to get true numbers. These are the numbers that are most likely to be pulled by a mortgage lender or any type of other lender out there. The next way to know if you're financially literate is, are you saving for retirement? Now, I know most people don't like to think about death or retirement, but it's coming. And so there will be a time where you can no longer work and you need to have a plan for what those years look like. People are living a lot longer after retirement now. And so how much are you going to be able to spend? What expenses will you continue to have even in retirement? Will your house be paid off? Things like that. These are the things that you need to look at when it comes to retirement planning. Now, this is a special skill, and I always tell clients that you should go and talk to a professional about retirement planning because it depends on your unique situation. Again, do you have a house that you're still going to pay for? Do you have kids who need to go to college? Whatever the case may be, you need to really have a defined retirement plan in place so you're not surprised by the increase in expenses, whether it be medical or whatever the case may be. So if you have a plan in place, that you can kind of get ahead of it, especially if you're young. If you're young and you do some retirement planning early, you'll have to save less money and have a better return when it comes time for your retirement. And the last way to know if you're financially literate is if you're debt free or if you have a plan to become debt free. And when I talk about debt, I'm talking about high interest debt. So your credit cards, personal loans, car loans, things like that. These are things that are typically depreciating in value. And so if you have a car note, or if you have credit cards that are charging you interest and you're paying interest every month, these are the things that you want to pay off and get rid of once and for all. Now, if you have debt on a mortgage or an investment property, something like that, obviously that property is hopefully appreciating or cash flowing and it's becoming an investment for you. But even then, if your goal is to be totally debt free, you have to have a plan for that. And so if you want to pay off your mortgage and pay off all debt before you retire, what does that look like? How much do you need to be putting away every month? And once you establish that plan and start to implement it, then you'll truly know that you're financially literate. So I talk about what it looks like to be financially literate. And if you don't have all these boxes checked and you're not there yet, my suggestion is that you get started. The thing that you can implement right away is start to look at your income. If you're earning money from some source, where is it coming from? How much is it? And where is it going? Those are the things that you have to know. This, again, is the biggest tool for you building wealth and generational wealth. So your income matters. You really need to analyze it. Look at your pay stubs. If you're working full time and you want to start to really analyze how much in taxes you're paying, what are you claiming as far as dependents or whatever the case may be, analyze that. Talk to your HR department and look at that. It's your money. It matters. And so you want to make sure that you're getting the most from it so that way you can be saving and investing it. If you're getting a big tax return at the end of the year, I know we're in April and tax season is upon us. People celebrate big tax returns, but what that truly means is that you've overpaid the government and now they're giving you a refund on the money that you overpaid. The problem is the government's had that money all year and they've been investing it and making money off of your money. Why not flip the script? Talk to your tax advisor, talk to your tax preparer and say, hey, can I claim less or more, whatever the case may be, in order to get more money so I can invest it? And then at the end of the year, either pay taxes or be right at zero so that you know that you're investing and making money on your own money. Keep those things in mind. Talk to the professionals who can help you because your income matters. Again, that is definitely the first thing that you can do. The second thing you should do, as I mentioned, I talked about credit scores, pull your credit, know where you stand. You don't want any surprises. Things happen. You may need to get a car. We just recently did an episode. I talked about not getting financing a large car loan because, we're approaching some recessionary times. So I don't want you to do that, but things happen. If your car is dying and you need to finance something, you want to know what your credit scores say. So pull your credit. You can do that on your own. You can pull your credit for free through annualcreditreport.com, but you won't get the scores. And so, I really want you to know your scores and your reports. There's a lot of misinformation or wrong information on credit reports. So I want you to analyze your report and really see if the information on there is correct. If you need help in analyzing or pulling credit, reach out to us. We can definitely help you in that process. So those are the two major things that I want you to do. And as a bonus, I really want you to look at protecting your income. I talk about how important your income is, but how are you protecting it? Do you have long-term care? What happens if you get sick or ill? What happens to your income? Do you have life insurance? How are you protecting that income if you were to pass away? How's your family going to be impacted by that? And are they protected? So look at insurance, life insurance. I know there's a lot of debate about types of life insurance. Talk to different life insurance brokers, professionals who can give you quotes that are accurate and figure out what fits in your budget. I personally am a big believer in term insurance because I believe in keeping my costs low, my overhead low, but also reinvesting that difference into stock market, real estate, things of that nature. So that's what works for me and my family, but figure out what works for you. I definitely want you to protect your income. Death is one of those things that's going to come to all of us, so we can't avoid it. And so the best thing that you can do for you and your family is to make sure that your income is protected through life insurance. So I've given you a little bit of homework. I cover what financial literacy is, how to know if you truly are financially literate, and some things that you can implement right away. I hope this episode brought you some value. I hope you implement these steps in order to really start to build on your wealth, start to build for your financial future, and also build for your children's children. Again, as a community, you can do a lot more to make sure that your next generation starts with a little bit better situation financially than you did. And even if you don't have anything to pass down monetarily, you can pass down financial knowledge. Financial literacy can be passed down to your kids, to your grandkids. Talk about these things. Don't let this be a shy topic. Don't let it be hush hush. Talk about it openly. Have these conversations. One of the things that me and my wife are big on is knowing that our kids know exactly what's going on with our finances. There are great times, there are lean times. They need to understand that because it's life and it's going to happen to them as well. And so, you need to celebrate the times where, hey, we can do a little more. There's privilege there. But then there are times where, hey, we need to look at our budget. We need to really kind of lock in because things are a little bit rougher, especially like real estate and economics and whatever the case may be, stock market, whatever the case is, you have those conversations with your kids so they can understand it. Talk about the stock market, talk about the housing market, gain the knowledge so that you can pass that down. That can still be your legacy, and it's a strong legacy to leave. If you have any additional questions, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you're following us on Instagram. We are at Just Got Paid Pod. You can follow us on Instagram and all the other social media platforms as well. And if you want to follow me directly, I'm at Eric Hellon on all social media platforms. So I hope you got some great value from today's episode. I hope you implement these strategies to truly become financially literate and celebrate Financial Literacy Month in April. Have a blessed one.